All the class 9 students of St. Michael's Academy, welcome to online physical science class. Good morning students. Today I am continuing the same chapter, water. So let's start. Today's first topic is removal of hardness by boiling. So to get rid of mentioned disadvantages, softening of hard water is necessary. So first point is by boiling, how you can remove the hardness of water. So softening is the process of removing the dissolved calcium and magnesium salts that cause hardness in water. It is achieved either by adding chemicals that form insoluble precipitates or by ion exchange. Chemicals used for softening include calcium hydroxide or slaked lime and sodium. As you can see, boiling the water causes the precipitation of solid calcium carbonate or solid magnesium carbonate. This removes the calcium ions or magnesium ions from the water and so removes the hardness. Therefore, hardness due to hydrogen carbonates or hydrocarbons actually is said to be temporary. That is, bicarbonate actually is said to be temporary. Now, temporary hardness is due to the presence of bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. It can be removed by easy means like boiling. When temporary hard water is boiled, the carbonates decompose with liberation of carbon dioxide and precipitation of the insoluble carbonates which are reformed. Calcium bicarbonate after boiling form calcium carbonate, carbon dioxide and water. Same here, iron, in case of iron bicarbonate after boiling form iron carbonate, carbon dioxide and water. Then iron carbonate again reacts with water and oxygen to form ferric hydroxide and carbon dioxide. So temporary hardness can be removed when temporary hard water is boiled. The soluble bicarbonates of calcium, magnesium, iron are decomposed to the corresponding insoluble carbonates. The ferrous carbonate thus formed is oxidized by aerial oxygen to brown-colored insoluble ferric hydroxide. But in case of magnesium, what happens? The precipitates may be filtered in a filter bed or may be allowed to settle down and water is collected from above. Only magnesium carbonate is slightly soluble at room temperature, so hardness due to magnesium bicarbonate cannot be removed completely by boiling. When magnesium carbonate boil, it will form magnesium carbonate, carbon dioxide and water. So from magnesium bicarbonate we are getting after boiling magnesium carbonate, carbon dioxide and water. Magnesium carbonate is slightly soluble in water but heating will cause its hydrolysis into the much less soluble magnesium hydroxide. So magnesium carbonate when reacts with water it will form magnesium hydroxide plus carbon dioxide. So simple boiling and filtering of water remove temporary hardness. Removal of hardness by ion exchange process. That means removal of hardness by another process. The ion exchange process involves the exchange of the hardness minerals in water, chiefly calcium and magnesium, for sodium minerals. The exchange is made possible because the minerals are ionic in nature, which means they have an electrical charge. That's why actually this process is called ion exchanger. As hard water passes through a softener, this is the process. Please see the diagram so you can relate this. As hard water passes through the softener, the calcium and magnesium trade places with sodium ions. Sodium ions are held loosely and are replaced easily by calcium and magnesium ions. During this process, free sodium ions are released into the water. Put simply, ion exchange is a reversible interchange of charged particles or ions with those of like charge. This occurs when ion present on an insoluble 9-resin matrix effectively swap places with ions of a similar charge that are present in a surrounding solution. Hope so you can relate your diagram with your book reactions. Both type of hardness can be removed by this process. Synthetic ion exchange resins are used for this purpose. The cation exchange resins are organic polymers containing carboxylic acid, that is acid or sulfonic acid group. That means carboxylic acid means bond COOH, or sulfonic acid group, that means bond SO3H groups. On the other hand, the ion exchange resins, anion exchange resins are basic containing hydroxyl, that is bond OH group. These polymers are insoluble solids and are used in the form of granule. So whenever we are talking about ion, so there are two types of ion, cation and anion. So ion exchange process also has been divided into two processes. One is cation exchange and another one is anion exchange. The cation exchange resins and the anion exchange resins are packed above beds of gravel in two separate cylindrical vessels made of some polymer rubber. See the diagram. These vessels are placed vertically side by side and connected by pipelines. Hard water is allowed to trickle down from the top of the cation exchanger vessel. While passing through the resin, all cations like calcium, magnesium, sodium and potassium etc. are exchanged by hydrogen ions. That means they are replaced by hydrogen ions. Free acids are formed. The acidulated water is then passed through the anion exchanger. When anions of acids are exchanged by hydroxyl groups with the formation of water. Now see the diagram. There two reactions has been shown. First one is RCOOH. R is unknown over here. When it reacts with, and COOH is carboxylic acid group. When it reacts, that means this is cation exchanger reaction actually. It is there only in your book in the next reaction. You will get this soon. When it reacts with calcium chloride, it will form RCOO whole 2Ca. This is a type of salt. Plus hydrogen ion plus chloride anion. Next reaction RCOH plus magnesium sulfate MgSO4 whole 2. When it will react, it will form MgSO4. It will form magnesium salt RCO whole 2 Mg plus hydrogen ion along with sulfate anion. Now see the diagram. Hard water is coming. That means calcium and magnesium ion also has been inserting in the first one. Dilute HCl and H2SO4s are there. Cation exchange resins are also there. That means hydrogen plus ions are there, sulfate ions are there and chloride ions are also there. And in the another one, dilute NaOH, that means sodium hydroxide is there. This is anion exchange and that one is cation exchange. Next topic is cation and anion exchanger. As positively charged cations flow across cation resin beds, the cations are exchanged for hydrogen ion. Likewise, as negatively charged anions flow across anion resin beads, the anions are exchanged for hydroxyl. Now what is beads? Beads are, in previous slide that I have shown, these are cylindrical structure or cylinder. Cation exchange cylinder and anion exchange cylinder. When you combine hydrogen and hydroxyl, you form pure H2O, that is water. The difference between anion and cation resins is that one is positively charged, that is anion, and the other is negatively charged, that is First one is cation and the second one is anion. But the difference between anion and cation resins is that resin just opposite actually. One is anion, another one is cation. Negatively charged ions are attracted to positively charged anion resins versus cation resins, which attract positive ions with their negative charge. That's why actually here opposite names given like cathode and anode. Hope so you remember cathode and anode. That means cathode attracts cation and anode attracts anion like this. Now see the diagram. Anion exchangers. The anion exchangers have positively charged exchanger with negatively charged mobile counter ion available for exchange. Mobile they have told because they are not static. They are already movable, always movable rather. Next one, if the basic functional groups are introduced, the resin becomes anion exchanger. Tertiary amines, this is completely organic compounds. Strong anion exchangers, secondary amines, that is weak anion exchanger. Amine is a group that is bond NH2. It is in organic chemistry. See another diagram given, positively charged exchanger, mobile counter ion and ion exchanger resins given. Next, cationic exchanger reactions are also given. So I am reading this reaction from your book. I think you will understand better. Reaction in cation exchanger, the cation exchange resins are represented as RSO3H. SO3H is sulfonic group, R is unknown. So, or RCOOH. COOH is carboxylic acid group. And R is equal to polymeric hydrocarbon part. So, one is cation portion and another one is anion portion. Now, the reaction. When RSO3H reacts with calcium chloride, it will form RSO3 whole 2Ca. From where whole 2 is coming? Because calcium valency is 2. Plus HCl. In next reaction, if it is RSO3H, then it will react with calcium bicarbonate, that is CaHCO3 whole 2, and it will form RSO3 whole 2Ca. Here also 2 justified the valency of calcium along with carbonic acid, that is H2CO3. Reaction in anion exchanger, RNH3OH. Remember this. Above N, you have to give plus sign and OH minus. Plus HCl equal to RNH3 plus Cl minus plus H2O. Please give this plus minus sign because here it is actually completely in ionic stage. That's why you have to show this like this. The water thus obtained contains no cations or anions except H plus and OH minus ions, that is H2O. This water is called deionized water or demineralized water. It is almost like that of distilled water. But to some extent, obviously, in between these two, some differences are there. I'll explain this in my next slide. The binding of ions, cations or anions to ion exchange resins is reversible. This property of resins help us to use the same resin after periodical regeneration. That means after a certain time, the periodic movement it happens. After continuing the process for same length of time, the items of or the resins of ion exchangers become inactive due to complete exchange of H plus and OH minus ions of resins by the cations and anions respectively present in hard water. Such inactive resins do not work properly. The resins are reactivated or regenerated by passing dilute 0.2 m. This is the strength of that particular solution, that is H2SO4, through the cation exchanger and dilute 0.2 m. That is also molarity actually. M stands for molarity of that particular solution. Anyways, that means sodium hydroxide solution through the anion exchanger and then washing with water. So here is the another reaction when RSO3 whole 2 Ca reacts with H2SO4. So obviously it will form, one time it is react with chloride ion, next time it is reacting with sulfate ion. That's it. So it will form RSO3H plus calcium sulfate. In anion exchanger, when it will react with RNH3 plus Cl minus plus NaOH, it will form RNH3 plus OH minus plus NaCl. That means sodium chloride. Now the differences between deionized water and distilled water. Distilled water is water that has been distilled to remove most of its impurities. And deionized water, also known as DI water, is a form of water that is deeply demineralized. It is less pure than deionized water and it is highly pure. Deionized water produced using ion exchange resins that can remove ions from water, but distilled water produced by distillation. Water is boiled and then is condensed. Distilled water drinkable but not advantageous because it has no nutritional value. Whereas, on the other hand, deionized water highly reactive and deionization cannot remove uncharged particles, molecules from water. Now, use of deionized water. There are 6 main uses of deionized water, which are listed below. Car engines. This type of water is commonly used to top up lead acid batteries and engines coolant system, aquariums, laboratory tests, industrial machinery, fire extinguishers, and cooling systems. So use of deionized water, it is a soft water like that of distilled water. There is difference between distilled water and deionized water. Distilled water contains no organic matter and can be used for medicinal preparations. Deionized water contains organic matters like pyroxene, cannot be used for injection water. Deionized water is used in laboratories for analytical work, in weight batteries, in boilers and laundries, etc. This topic is very easy, water pollution. Already I have read this. Then also I am giving you a brief idea. Hope so you can correlate this thing with your book. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies usually as a result of human activities. Water bodies include, for example, lakes, rivers, oceans, aquifers, and groundwater. Water pollution results when contaminants are introduced into the natural environment. Various causes of water pollution: industrial waste, sewage and wastewater, mining activities, marine dumping, accidental oil leakage, the burning of fossil fuels, chemical fertilizers and pesticides, leakage from sewer lines, etc. In your book, it has been given that there are many pollutants coming into water bodies, for example, organic, inorganic, thermal, radioactive, etc. from domestic, municipal and industrial waste. So, here they have discussed the causes of water pollution. Before that, they have given one definition also: any natural cause or human activity that impairs the use of water as a resource may be called water pollution. So, according to detergents, according to pesticides, within the pesticide, they have given some names. Example of some commonly used organic pesticides are malathion, parathion, DDT, etc. The inorganic pesticides contain copper, cadmium, lead, mercury, arsenic, etc. Most of these insecticides are not biodegradable. So, obviously, they have some harmful effects. And apart from these, fertilizers are also there. In fertilizer, important is NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. I am just underlining the main words from here because I know about water pollution. You know maybe better than me. Harmful effects of water pollution. Some of these waterborne diseases are typhoid, cholera, paratyphoid fever, dysentery, jaundice, amoebiasis, and malaria. Chemicals in the water also have negative effects on our health. Pesticides can damage the nervous system and cause cancer because of the carbonates and organophosphates that they contain. What are the consequences of water pollution? Destruction of aquatic flora and fauna. There are countless species of plants and animals which depend upon water for their survival, making them the most susceptible to water pollution. Drinking water supplies, food chain disruption, agriculture, economic downturns. So ultimately the effects of water pollution is very harmful to humans, animals and water life. Death of aquatic animals, diseases, ecosystem can be severely changed or destroyed by water pollution. Not only water pollution is happening, through that land and air pollution is also happening. Now arsenic pollution. First I am discussing arsenic affected area. What is the cause of arsenic pollution? Contaminated groundwater is the most common cause of arsenic poisoning. Arsenic is already present in the earth and can seep into groundwater. Also, groundwater can contain runoff from industrial plants. Drinking arsenic-laden water over a long period of time can lead to poisoning. How does arsenic affect the body? When the poisoning becomes acute, symptoms may include diarrhea, vomiting blood, blood in the urine, cramping muscles, hair loss, stomach pain, and more convulsions. The organs of the body that are usually affected by arsenic poisoning are the lungs, skin, kidneys, and liver. Now some arsenic affected area or blocks in West Bengal. You have to remember this block, so please learn the box carefully. Under Malda, Kaliachok 1, Kaliachok 2, English Bazar, Ratwa 1. Under Murshidabad, Bahrampur, Bhagwangola 1, Bhagwangola 2, Beldanga 1, Shuti 2, Rainagar 1, Rainagar 2, Domkal, Jalongi, Raghunathganj 1, Raghunathganj 2, Farakka and Lalgola. Under Nadia, Chagda, Shantipur, Navadip, Tehatto 1, Tehatto 2, Horinghata, Kaliaganj, Karimpur 1, Karimpur 2, Nakashipara. Under North 24 Parganas. Now arsenic pollution. Seafood generally happens from fish, shrimp, shellfish and other seafood may contain significant amounts of organic arsenic. The less toxic form. However, mussels and certain types of seaweed may contain inorganic arsenic as well. 4, 5, 6. Rice and rice-based foods. Rice accumulates more arsenic than other food crops. Consumed in smaller amounts over a long period, it can cause serious illness or a prolonged death. The main cause of arsenic poisoning worldwide is the drinking of groundwater that contains high levels of the toxin. The water becomes contaminated underground by rocks that release the arsenic. So obviously, in my previous slide, I have discussed the arsenic affected blocks. At last, I have not taken the whole name. So according to the West Bengal map, you can see or you can relate the actual places of arsenic polluted. Thank you students. For any doubts or queries, please email me at sudeshna1.sma@outlook.com. Though I am not getting any doubts, any queries, any homework also, then also I have to repeat this. at the end of my every slides. Thank you.